Hello and welcome to For Quick Cues, Book Talk with Enfys. This is the live interview chat show where I ask pagan authors 4 quick questions determined by a roll of the dice. If you have any questions for tonight's guest, please pop them into the comments and we'll circle around to them at the end. I'm your host, Enfys Book of MajorArqueerna.com. Joining me today is Mortellus, pronouns they or them, is a lineaged 3rd degree Gardnerian high priestex of the Long Island line. Presently busy at work on their 3rd book, with the 2nd, The Bones Fall in a Spiral, an introduction to necromancy and the magic of death, arriving on shelves soon. Mortellus is a mortician, and in addition to their degrees in mortuary sciences, holds degrees in design, education, and fine arts. Their areas of expertise include necromancy, necrobotany, mediumship, and the funerary rites of minority faith groups. I will also add their 1st book is Do I Have to Wear Black? Rituals, Customs, and Funerary Etiquette for Modern Pagans, which I just finished reading and is absolutely fantastic. And I've already recommended it to like 5 or 6 individual people who need to read it. So Mortellus, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me. I feel like it was terrible getting here, so we rescheduled a couple times. So thank you for being patient with me and still wanting to chat with me today.
Oh, absolutely. It's an honor to have you. So one of the things I always have the guests do is name our dice for the evening. I have this lovely non-binary pride dice, the non-binary flag colors. Oh, and it has a heart where the 20 is, which I think is really cute. So what would you like to name our dice this evening?
I am going to name it the Crafty Crone after an NPC in my homebrew D&D game.
Awesome. I love how nerdy that is. I'm super here for it. All right. Now, have you been interviewed by a D20 before?
Yes, I have actually. I am a 4-star game master for Paizo Pathfinder Games. You can actually only get a 5th star in person from the president of the company, which is you have to work for that. I've run thousands of hours of games, and I was running tables at a local gaming convention, and they had a D20 based interview system for one of the panels.
That is fantastic. I love it. Yay. Also, we have so much nerdy stuff to talk about after the show.
Yes. We'll keep going. We'll let everybody hear.
We'll just be here, for hours. It's going to be fine. All right. So let's see if the Crafty Crone has some good questions for you today. Our first one is question 18. What do you like to listen to while you write and why?
Oh, that's a good question. My partner and I were having this whole conversation about this the other day. We sort of have the same problem when we're working, but in reverse. I write and he's an illustrator, and he loves to listen to music that he knows intimately and can sing along with because he gets lost in it and can draw. But I cannot listen to things that I'm very intimately familiar with because the lyrics interfere with my ability to write. So I listen to a lot of like Apple Music radio rambles, which gets super weird if you just let it go.
Oh, I bet.
You're like, am I listening to country music right now? Why? But I have this playlist I've carefully curated of chilled out sort of instrumental music. A lot of it's like video game soundtracks and stuff like that. And I've made that playlist available for people that I listen to while I write, and they can find it on my Facebook group, A Crow in the Dead. And I have a second playlist in there that is the one I listen to when I do embalming.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely looking those up after this because I love new playlists. And I'm kind of similar when I get into the zone with work. I can't really have lyrics, and it has to be something that I'm not super familiar with. So I listen to a lot of like lo-fi, also video game music pretty frequently, especially the Final Fantasy soundtracks because they make me feel motivated.
That's my spouse. They love the Final Fantasy soundtrack. I love the Dark Souls soundtracks because some of that music is so just sort of drifting and beautiful. Like the Firelink Shrine music, I could listen to that forever.
Yeah, I think my favorites right now are both games I've never played, which are Ori and the Blind Forest soundtrack. It's super beautiful. And I started getting into the Hollow Knight soundtrack as well, which I've not played that either.
That has a great soundtrack, and Joe's been playing it and they love that game. It's super cute. But I'm going to write down that. What was the first one? I have to write that down.
Ori and the Blind Forest. I could share with you my playlist as well because I have, I've got so many.
If everyone listening would just
Yeah.
like share their playlists all the time, I am so here for that. That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
Pop
people
them in the
do.
comments. Feel free.
Yes,
Just, yeah.
share all your playlists. Those are the best.
Amazing. All right, so I have to keep asking you questions though. So let me see what the next one is. Hey, subtract 10 and we get 8. What is something you wish other magical or pagan authors would do more?
I wish that's an easy question. I really wish pagan authors would talk more about their struggles and about the reality of the money they make and what it's really like for them. Because I think that we tend to talk about the best parts of our experience and not really share how it can be really challenging and how difficult the return can be to swallow when you see the kind of work you put in. At one point I calculated how much I made per hour writing my first book, and it was like pennies.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I wish more people talked about that, because I think it's really important for people to know that we're just ordinary people shopping at Walmart with coupons too. Like
Yeah.
we need more of that.
Yeah, definitely. It is one of the things I really liked about Do I Have to Wear Black, the book, is because it feels very honest in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot about, here are the ups and downs, here are the things that have profoundly affected me as a person and how I have related to them and deal with them, and how they tie in with funerary customs and etiquette and my spiritual journey and everything else. It felt very personal and very honest, and was also still really interesting to read. I had a really hard time putting it down, and that's not something I honestly expected about a book about funerary customs. I was like, okay, I'm sure this will be interesting, but it was really compelling throughout. So
that means a
definitely
lot to me.
recommend it.
I definitely put a lot of myself into it. It's one of those things where you have two options. You can either write clinically about the topic, or you can sit there and just like every single day rip your heart out of your chest and be like, well, I'm writing about pets. Let's think about when my dog died or whatever. Just really get your teeth into every moment.
Yeah, that was a particularly profound chapter, is about loss of companion animals. And I thought that was handled really beautifully. And I really appreciated all the different voices that got lifted up in there too. Like the person who is a priest, I think priestess and veterinarian, if I'm remembering the title correctly, for that chapter, and someone who is a hospital chaplain, and all these different folks lending their voices, and people from specific traditions writing about theirs. So it's not always outside looking in.
You know, death is a story that belongs to all of us, and it's never going to be a story I can tell alone. And I know that, and that's important. And if I could have printed every single one of those names on the cover, I would have, because each one of those pieces is so important and so personal. Yeah. I noticed we have a comment from Matt Oren. Thank you for watching along, hey, Matt. Matt seems to have played Ori and the Blind Forest. They commented that it was really cute.
Oh, yeah, it's a really beautiful looking game. I think I've watched someone play a little bit of it. I was like, that looks really cool. And I'm really bad at platformers, so I'm probably not going to do well with it. But yeah, I watch people play video games more than I actually play them, except for when I got really into Animal Crossing when everyone else did at the beginning of the pandemic. So that was like a consuming obsession for a couple of months.
I'm like, I love playing The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, and I'm still playing Skyrim. Nice. I'm the person they keep like making it for the T100 calculator for. Like I'm that guy. Amazing. But I enjoy doing just obnoxious things in games. Like in The Witcher, the first thing I did was swam the entire ocean to clear up the whole map's markers, because I have to do that. I can't leave them there. In Skyrim, I have collected every single red apple in the game and left them all in Breeze Home. Like you cannot go there anymore because it crashes the entire game. Apples just start raining from the world.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm fairly boring in terms of I try to do all the side quests in Final Fantasy games and like get that 120% or whatever. But I haven't gotten into the MMO ones at all, because like that would be my life. So
I do stuff like in Skyrim, I did that quest with the Emperor where you have to pretend to be a chef or something, so you get the hat and the coat. And then I found the soup spoon of Ysgramor, which is like a unique fork that does 1 point of damage. And then I got the Ring of Namira that lets you gain health from eating fallen enemies. So I just ran around like a cannibal chef using the fork. It's whatever.
That is fantastic. There was an item in, we were talking before the show, I mentioned my partner and I were just playing Betrayal Legacy has been our obsession for the last month or so. And there is an item in there that is a spoon that if you use it in a room with a corpse, you gain some stat back and you're basically just eating the dead.
Whoops.
And it's like, this is fine.
This is totally okay.
This is okay. There's nothing wrong here. I think you have the choice to heirloom particular items, which gives you like an added bonus if your family crest sticker is on it. And I'm like, I'm heirlooming the spoon. He's like, oh, of course you are.
When I started playing Skyrim the first time, it was like, I can marry people? Yes, I'm going to marry Lydia because Lydia is my super cool sidekick. Two things. One, I didn't realize marrying Lydia is glitched.
Oh no.
The quest is messed up. Like, if they die, you can never remarry, and it's a whole thing.
Oh.
But she's also kind of super grouchy as a spouse. Like, I'm sworn to carry your burdens. It's like every time you hand her something, she sort of gripes about it. But anyway, she died and the game was glitched, so her body wouldn't despawn. So I built this whole shrine around her that has like our wedding rings. Like I take flowers there and leave them. It's a super weird thing to do, but
it seems very apropos given your industry.
For sure.
Yes. All right, question 3. Get shiny number 7. Oh, right, back to back. What's something you wish other magical or pagan authors would do less?
Oh,
this is like the spiciest question on the list.
Super spicy. I see Amy is also watching along. Hello, Amy Blackford.
Hey, Amy.
Things I wish authors would do less of. Probably the whole toxic positivity thing. It's like it's the mirror of what I said before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there seems to be this idea, and definitely not from the fine folks watching, but I've seen it. It's like if your life isn't good and you don't have money and your health isn't perfect and whatever, you've done magic wrong and you're a bad witch and people are cursing you or whatever. But life is chaotic and bad stuff happens, and that's just how the world is. And that is something we should embrace, just the reality of what it is to be human and what it is to live in this world.
Absolutely. And magic can't fix everything. Would that it could.
Correct. If that was true, I wouldn't have rheumatoid arthritis. So it's like, it's reality.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things that would be different for me if magic could fix everything, but here we are. We do what we can with the tools we have.
I see Matt being spicy. He says he was glad he didn't get those 2 questions.
I can't wait to look at the comments here in a minute and see what everyone's chatting about. This is great. And as a reminder to folks, after this 4th question, which is the next question, I will be checking the chat for questions from the audience. So if you have a question for Mortellus, please feel free to drop it in there. But first, question number 4, which is number 4. What is a magical text you keep referring back to and why?
That's tricky. I think
doesn't have to be your favorite or anything, just one that you go back to.
Well, I think the trickier question is really whether I can say it's magical. What is magical in this context? Does it have to be like an occult book published by, occult publishers, or can it be like any book?
Let's open it up to any book. Yeah, I see no reason why not.
Probably this one. It's going to be the weirdest book. Salted. I teach a class about salts, and I work with salts a lot. And this is a super cool cookbook. It has a huge reference source of all kinds of salts. And I just really love this book. I come back to it time and time again. And you'd be amazed at all the weird little details about the world that are in it. Just sort of cultural comments about how salt has impacted our lives and that kind of idea of how we have shaped societies around acquiring it and that kind of thing. I've found that it really enhances my work, and I really just love the book. I keep going back to it every day.
Yeah, well, and I would
manifesto, it says, on the world's most essential mineral.
Nice. Well, and salt and death have a lot of things in common. It makes absolute sense.
Very true.
That makes total sense. Well, I am going to go see if we have questions in the chat, and also drop in some links where people can find you and your fantastic shop online and your books. While I do that, if you'd like to talk about something you're really excited about right now and you want to tell people, the floor is yours.
I think if there was anything I'm super excited about right now, it's how many posts I've seen online from just everyday people talking about stuff they've bought for their friends for the holidays. Like seeing all these people going out of their way to shop small businesses and buy things from authors and other creators, and then being excited about those things, that warms my heart. I love seeing that, and that has me excited. It always makes me happy this time of year.
Me too. I really love learning more about what people have available. Like sometimes I have friends with small businesses I'm not even aware of. And so finding out and
Right.
being like, windmill slam, here is my money. It's
Amy
always
Blackburn
fun.
she was posting on TikTok the other day about some things that they'd gotten from different shops, and I was like, okay, well, I need to go like buy all these things now. Like, it's my heart. I love seeing that.
Hang on one second. There we go. Sorry about that. A little bit of feedback going into trying to see all the comments. Facebook is being really silly about, there are 8 comments, here are 4 of them, and like not letting me expand. So sorry, I had to click into a different view where it was playing our show back to me. So apologies for the interruption. Please continue.
Totally okay. What are you excited about right now? Tell me what you're passionate about. We'll flip this interview around backwards.
Oh goodness. Oh, we're gonna do this. Okay. I'm excited that this is basically the season finale for Quick Cues, the first season. I started in January of this year, and I think like this is a fantastic way to round out the year because you're a fantastic interview. I am going to take a little hiatus after this episode to do some retooling of the show because I have some ideas to make it better and more dynamic, and probably also an audio podcast because people have been requesting that. So I'm digging into the how-tos and trying to figure out the best ways to approach it. So I'm pretty excited about where it's going to go because I have so many more questions to ask so many more people. And
well, I hope I get to come back when you do that.
I would love to have you back. Absolutely.
One of my very favorite shows to go on is Personal Pans. You might really enjoy that show. Vanessa.
Yes, I've been on it as well. Yeah.
I really love that they do video and a podcast that they're kind of conjoined. I think that's real neat.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because this past Sunday, I actually had a call with Vanessa because I'm like, I really like how your show is put together. Can I pick your brain on tech setup? And so, yeah.
Hearts to Vanessa.
Yes, Vanessa is amazing. I'm a huge fan. And
Expansion
I'm just like,
pack edition, Matt says.
There we go. I love it. Well, Amy has a question you might see in chat. It's how does your perfume and scent collection influence your magic?
I love that question. So I think we spend a lot of this kind of comes back around to like positivity and really embracing what our lives really are. We like to think that as practitioners, and I think particularly we like to think this about author type people, is that we like spend 100% of the time in a ritual circle, like draped in bones and, fancy occult robes or whatever, like dancing around under the moonlight. That's not true. We all have days where it's like, oh my God, I can't even think about that right now. Just can't. So I really love things that I can take through my day every day. And I particularly love things that are there for me, but might not be visibly obvious to other people, and not just sort of in case you're closeted, but also because I think that can be really private for you. And using fragrance in magic is an interesting way to do that, because every time you catch a whiff of that scent, you're bringing a thought into that magic, you're bringing it into the moment, and you get to carry that around with you constantly, which I think can be, in a lot of ways, more intimate and more practical than things like a talisman you might wear, or something you carry around, like a sachet of items or something like that. So I use a lot of fragrance.
That's amazing. I love that.
I learned
go ahead.
I learned a long time ago in mortuary work that a fragrance is the difference between that person in the casket being your grandmother or not. People never think of bringing fragrance, perfumes and things to the funeral home along with clothes and things, but they're so important. I always ask families, what perfume did they wear? What cologne did they wear? If you have it, bring it to me, because I want them to be familiar, and there's so much memory and magic held in a scent.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's one of my first experiences with scent sort of transporting the person I was a little bit. Like it sort of amplified my idea of who I was. I went to my first Renaissance festival and I think I had maybe $20 to spend on like anything. And this was like the mid 90s. So you could get some stuff, but I got a little vial of jasmine, just straight jasmine essential oil, I think. It was probably diluted a fair bit, but something about like putting that scent on me just made me feel so much more ethereal and like special and different. And it still
Right.
is one of my absolute favorite scents to this day.
Like, we don't live in a world where we get to wear magical clothing, ritual clothing everywhere. We don't even always get to wear symbols of our faith everywhere. But we can wear a fragrance. We can take that with us everywhere we go. Nobody can take that from us. And I think that's really special.
That's absolutely beautiful and very true. I'm checking to see. Oh, Amy Blackthorn says jasmine is so lovely. Yeah, I'm a big fan. All right, just double checking to make sure they're. Oh, and Matt says jasmine's one of his favorite plant allies for psychism. Hey, awesome. Well, I think that's it for the questions from the audience. Mortellus, it has been so much fun having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. For folks who are watching on Facebook, thank you for joining. For those who are joining in the chat, thank you. And if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, thank you as well. And I hope everyone has a really lovely day after this.